What's good, everybody? It's your boy Saint Deadeye, and welcome to the very first episode of Ordnance Overview. And I figured what better way to have a first episode than to show you guys my very first gun. This is the first gun that I ever bought with my own money when I turned 18, coming up at this point on 12 years ago. So I've had this baby for a while. It is the Rifle of Empire. It is everything that is Old Britannia summed up in a firearm. And beyond the shadow of a doubt, it lays claim to the longest military service life of any 20th century firearm. It is the short magazine Lee Enfield, SMLE, or as it's affectionately known by the soldiers who carried it, the SMLE. This particular example is a No. 4 Mk.1, manufactured in 1943. And yep, this was my first gun. I've had this thing for, like I said, coming up on 12 years now. I love shooting it. It's a beautiful rifle. I mean, the wood has obviously been repaired several times, both professionally and by amateurs, but the reasoning behind that is because this is all original. All these parts have matching serial numbers. This is a matching rifle. And I'm very proud to own it because, well, God knows what it's been through. Just like my 1917 Brody helmet here. This helmet is actually older than this rifle. It's over 100 years old, hence the dry rotted and broken chin strap. But this video is not about the helmet. It's about the rifle here. This rifle was invented in 1895 by a gentleman named James P. Lee, hence the Lee part of the designation, and manufactured at the Enfield Arsenal in Britain, hence the Enfield part of the designation. The British military officially adopted this rifle in 1902, and it served for a very, very, very long time across not just Britain, but all of the British Empire. Ireland, Scotland, Wales, North Ireland, Australia, India, Southeast Asia, you name it. Anywhere where there was British political influence, this was the primary weapon of those forces. And it was so popular that there are even versions of it out there that have been converted into .410 caliber shotguns for military police. Even though the British Army themselves retired this rifle in 1957, it saw service up until as little as 2 or 3 years ago, being retired officially by the Canadian Rangers in May of 2018, and officially retired by the Uttar Pradesh Police Force in India as late as November of 2019. So, like I said, longest military service life of any 20th century firearm. It is bolt action, which means manually operated, one shot at a time. And it fires from a 10-round box magazine. You can see that there. And it fires this little guy, well, not exactly little, this is actually a pretty big round, right here. This is the 303 British Cartridge. It is a .30 caliber cartridge with a center fire rimmed casing, which makes it very easy to stand up on its end, but also makes this rifle's extraction system work almost flawlessly. You really have to beat this thing up for it to fail to extract a spent casing. Normally, you saw me remove the magazine there. Soldiers didn't really carry extra magazines until after World War II. They were just issued the magazine that came with the gun and one spare in case this broke, and it would be fed top down with 5-round stripper clips, one at a time. So if you ran out of ammo, you'd open it up, put 5 in, discard the stripper, put another 5 in, discard the stripper, and then you're ready to go. So let's take a closer look at this thing, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so the first thing you'll want to know about the old SMLE here is the safety. It's this little toggle switch right here behind the bolt handle on the left-hand side of the gun. When it is pulled to the rear like this, the gun is on safe. Pushed forward all the way like that, the gun is ready to operate and fire. This is a complete disengage safety, which means if I have the safety on, the bolt handle is locked. I cannot operate the bolt handle. Nothing works on this gun unless the safety is off. So let's take the safety off, and I'll show you the bolt here. So the bolt is in my opinion, a magnificent piece of work here. It's cock on closing, which means in order to cock the bolt and have it ready to fire, normally on other systems, you would encounter the resistance upon pulling the bolt back. I don't encounter any resistance whatsoever here until I go to close the bolt and chamber around. Right about here, when the bolt's about 90% of the way back into the gun, that's when I encounter the resistance, and I actually have to apply force, put it home, and put it down. And now the bolt is cocked and ready to fire. So when it fires, the bolt comes down, hits the firing pin, sends the round down range. However, if I wanted to decock the bolt without firing a round, first you make sure the chamber is clear, which this weapon is clear. Hold down the trigger before you send the bolt home, and it shuts with the bolt closed. Nothing going on here. The box magazine, as you saw earlier, is removable, and that's done with this little tab right here in front of the trigger. You depress that tab and slide your magazine out. Now, to give you an idea, a little bit of a close-up of the round we fire here, this is the .303 British Cartridge. Center fire, rimmed cartridge, 30 caliber. To be specific, .303 of an inch. That's where it gets its .303 markings, and this is the only time that you will ever see Great Britain use the imperial measurement system of inches and feet, is when they measure the caliber of their bullets. They fit into the magazine just like that, and as they stack down into the magazine, the rims of the cartridges stack up on top of each other, hence why the magazine needs to be longer in the back than it is in the front. Whoops. So let's talk about the sights real quick. There are two sets of rear sights on this. The first one is an aperture sight. It's just the battle sight, and that is set for 150 meters. And then you have your flip-up distance sights, which you can squeeze the sides here and adjust from the top right here. And those go all the way up from 200 meters to 1,300 meters. There's also a very tiny little peep sight in that one. So there's the peep sight for your battle sight and the peep sight for your distance sights. The front sight is a shrouded post, and aesthetically this is one of my favorite sight blocks ever, because I just think it looks awesome. Forgive me, but I just think this is one of the coolest looking sight blocks of any rifle. So you have your post up here, that's where you're going to aim with and center on your target, and then the shrouds to protect the post from being damaged or knocked out of alignment by handling of the rifle, dropping it, hitting it against a rock, anything that you might encounter in combat. And a cool little feature about my Lee Enfield in particular is that it came with a bayonet. This is a 9-inch pike, and it attaches to the rifle simply by going over the end of the muzzle at an angle. You line up your lugs and then turn it until it clicks like that. To remove the bayonet, there is a push button on the back of the bayonet. Depress that, turn it to the side, slide it off the lugs, and your bayonet is off. And you put it back in the sheath and use it to poke around for landmines or stir your soup or whatever you're doing out there in the field. Alright, so there you have it, the short magazine Lee Enfield No.4 Mk.1. We have a range day coming up with this very soon, so be on the lookout for that video. I might even do a Mad Minute, and if I do, I'll explain what it is then and there, but you'll just have to wait for that. Thanks for watching Ordnance Overview. I'm Saint Deadeye. Peace out, guys. See you next time.